Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome to Activated Mornings for another wonderful morning. Never mind, it is raining quite heavily and it's soaked. So that Kingstown was, the part of Kingstown that I saw this morning was flooded, and that was pretty early because you know what time it is, right? It's 6 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This morning for Activated Mornings, we're joined by Dr. Jerrol Thompson. Good morning, Doc. How are you this morning?
Christal, wonderful morning. You hearing me? You hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear.
Yes, that's wonderful. Oh, brilliant sunshine here where I am. Wonderful. And it's so great seeing you soaker this morning and moving and so forth and things like that. Oh gosh, I mean, I think that music gets you. You know what I mean?
It does.
He's such a great singer. I mean, I don't know how consistently he's able to bring out that kind of music, and so you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Really yes. Really,
Wonderful.
consistency and excellence is really. It's a good thing. He's a Chumuka man. He's a North Leeward man. You know what I mean? In fact, I only throw that out there, but Christal, I got to stop moving and shaking because when that traffic report was going on, I had the same look on my face as you did.
What is 6-0?
It wiped a smile off of my face. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it worries me. It really worries me. And I'm glad to know that the traffic department is commencing a traffic week. I don't know if this is a planned and an annual traffic week that comes up, or if it's something that they've brought back into force because the number of accidents, both in relation to the number of van accidents and the number of kids, when they say that a kid down on the Nelson Mandela Highway. I'm curious if that was more in Kingstown, Layou, Barley, wherever that was, you know what I mean? But clearly that's a problem with that accident in Rose Hall and so forth.
And to be honest with you, Doc, to me, it doesn't really matter where, right? Doesn't matter where it happens. The fact that it happened is
right.
troubling,
Absolutely right. But, just a quick, because, we got some big topics to talk about today. But I tell you, that the countries with the most accidents are actually the United States. The United States has 4 times the amount of accidents as any other country recorded. Then comes Japan, Germany, then Turkey. Romania is one of the highest in Europe. But we have a funny thing we do. We look at road accidents in relation to the rate based on the size of the country. And would you believe that a country with the lowest is a place like Norway, but the highest is actually in the world is the Dominican Republic, followed by about 15 African countries. And there's been a great concern in Africa about the number of road traffic accidents. India is also high. But do you know the highest in the Caribbean? It's St. Lucia. And I'm curious why St. Lucia stands out so high based on its population size and the number of accidents. So, we could, just like in the same way, like murders and so forth, you could have the number of incidents of road traffic accident, but the number of road traffic for the size of your country and the number of cars, they tend to rate that. And so I've been surprised that St. Lucia's number 1, followed by Belize, then Suriname. And so, but the African countries really are way up there, a very, very high rate, and it's alarming. But I'm glad. I really congratulate the police on this. I hope it's not a week. I hope it continues significantly onwards for a period of time.
Right, right. And it's I think you alluded to it, because we have so many cars now, it will be a bigger problem as compared to maybe 3, 5 or 10 years ago. And even going forward it's gonna be an issue. They have a lot of work cut out for them
Yes,
at this
yes,
time. And drivers. A lot of the
drivers.
responsibility falls on you. You have to drive carefully on the roads to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I know you might get excited at sometimes, but I know that they had said during one of our cop chats that they're working on some things to be implemented in the coming, not too sure how soon. Sorry, our guest this morning, Mr. Calvin Brown. I'm just seeing him popping up there. So he'll be joining us from 8:15. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence.
Yes,
That's the conversation we had last week,
yes.
quite briefly, right here on WEFM 99.9, the Clean First Sound. So this morning we have a guest, and we will be diving into it a little bit more. For some folks, it's a bit of a scary topic. I find some elements of it to be a little bit terrifying to think of what of or how bad it could get. But there are some good things to pull out from AI. But we'll get to that in about 3 minutes. All right. Over the weekend, a few things would have transpired in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I know Friday. Uh, I'm not too sure the time. Maybe like close to midday. Thereabout. A video went viral of some fight at what we call the drive at the bus stop in Kingstown, which is opposite the Penny Bank there. Lord, it's just a scary thing to see on your phone. And people, they just share, they don't really care much about these things to be happening during the morning. That's one. And I don't know, I don't have much more to say about that, because these things are very upsetting. And I hope that people would just take time to settle your differences. You don't have to pick up a knife or a gun or a weapon to be able to settle the difference between you and somebody else, or you and a group of people. One thing I noticed that people, they don't deal with problems like conflict resolution, right? They don't deal with the issues as they come. They let it fester, and then it grows into something much bigger, and then you reach a point where you become so passionate about it, then you basically left with little to no control. But people have to know what they're getting themselves into and how they can best cope with it. It's just unfortunate that sometimes it ends up being a crime, and some people get hospitalized, some people go to jail, and some people die. Unfortunate. And more often than not, young men. So I don't know what kind of crisis we have here, but the struggle continues. All right. Now, Doc, this is something. Let me add Mr. Brown to the live right now. All right. And we say good morning to Mr. Colin Brown. Let's do a microphone check.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, and welcome to
Thank
Activated
you.
Morning. It's a pleasure having you.
Well, Christal, let me introduce Mr. Carr. I think he needs no introduction, but for many persons around the world, in other parts of St. Vincent, Colin Brown is an information communication technology specialist, if I could say. I mean, he'll get into which division and so he's into, but he's currently the director of the Information Technology Services Division of the government, called the ITSD. And he has a fairly sizable staff. Matter of fact, I know his staff is going to expand. He is now one of those individuals who's steering St. Vincent and the Grenadines digital transformation project. And I think everybody could well understand where we were 20, 30 years ago and where we are now. But the other issue is, where are we going to be? Not another 30 years, but another 3, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. I'm not giving it the same way, but there's been significant. I mean, I'm able to do my banking online, we're able to have this StreamYard, this method that is seamless. It's fascinating. And there's so much stuff that we're able to do. but technology is about to make a big giant, or has been making a big gigantic leap with respect to artificial intelligence, this new model. And in Mr. Brown's department, he has coders, he has software developers, but these are human beings who are basically professionals who are doing it. And my understanding is that AI takes it to a different level, where basically, even though software developers still be needed, they may be needed a little less, in the sense that it's now going to be a lot more machine based and so forth. But I think that people need to learn a little about it. I remember when we first introduced cell phones, people suddenly say, I'm in a war that, man. You know what I mean?
Look
There's
at
been
us
a
now.
lot that's been taking place that we love. I mean, can we do without our WhatsApp? You know what I mean? Can we do without Facebook? I hear people saying I shut off
Yes,
myself from Facebook. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. We
I don't
can.
believe them. You know what I mean? Another social media. But there is probably so many areas where AI is already involved in our life. And I thought that it would be wonderful, even though this is not a sexy subject. This is not a juicy subject that a lot of people do. We have to start, because people are going to be hearing more and more about it, not just from their current sources, but they're going to hear it coming from left, right, and center. And we need to start knowing a little bit more about the facts, so we're better prepared. So I thought that Carla may be the best person. The other good persons here say, but I think Carla's probably one of the best, and in terms of what he's looking to be doing in the information technology, at least getting the government ready for this. I have a few questions for him.
Yeah.
And Christal, I know you've expressed some concern about the AI and so forth,
Yeah.
but we want to find out a little bit in this first segment, what are the benefits, and then maybe later on, we let him introduce the subject and so forth for us.
Right, right, right. Good
All
morning,
right.
everyone.
Thank you, Jerrol, for that introduction. Okay, well, let's first start off by trying to understand what AI is. So we know AI, the definition of it is artificial intelligence. And what AI tries to do, I mean, it has existed in some shape or form in the past, in terms of software being more intuitive, but we're now at a different stage where you see the intuitiveness of software in the past was programmed. So the software developer had to know what they wanted the software to do, and they program that into it. Now, artificial intelligence is essentially a simulation of human intelligence, right? And what that means is that the computer program now has the ability to think and to learn on its own. That's what in a nutshell AI is. The ability of the software, the software to think and learn. So think of it as a human child, growing up. He learns based on what he's exposed to. And that is the major concern, that if you have a learning entity, you're not quite sure which direction that entity is going to take, right? So that is the concern. The concern that a lot of experts have out there today is that they don't think that we know enough about AI and the direction it can take to launch it commercially, right? But that by itself is a whole different talking point. But from a AI does have a lot of advantages, especially commercial advantages, business applications, etc. So one of the things that AI offers is it enables a lot multitasking, right? So while it does not necessarily replace, now the developers of AI today, commercial developers, will tell you that AI does not replace humans. It essentially augments their ability to perform, right? Now, some people argue that that's a nice fancy wrapping, you know what I mean,
I find that hard to believe.
for sales pitch.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so it's not necessarily meant to replace, but it obviously reduces human error. You know, in a lot of computer process driven um, situations. It drives down the time that it takes to perform certain tasks because AI operates 24/7. So while humans need to take a break and go to sleep, computer programs don't. You know, so obviously that takes efficiencies to a whole nother level. You know, it also enables computers to perform complex tasks that may require more than one humans to do the same, right? So from a commercial perspective, AI is a very welcomed tool, you know. But the flip side of that is what gets the actual developers of AI, the people who actually put in the work to develop it, they have a little bit more concern around, okay, um, what does that mean in the long run? Now, we're not talking here about science fiction, right? We're not talking here about the Terminator and the Matrix. That's not where we are. However, although that is a long term concern, that's not where we are right now. So don't expect to see an AI robot walking down the street, you know, looking to eliminate the population. That's not where we are right now.
Right
However,
now. Right now. Okay.
yeah, right now. However, the concerns around the sophistication of cyber attacks is what is of immediate concern to most people who operate within the ICT sector, right? Because I mean, you know that more and more people are becoming with more savvy with computers, and by virtue of that, because we know everything is essentially computer driven today, you know, the attacks can be more distributed, more sophisticated. And with now the invention of AI, you can have, you know, attacks being distributed and taking place 24/7 and learning loopholes while they go. So you make it, you launch an attack, it's failed. The AI learns from the failure and comes back again with a more sophisticated one. So it poses a serious concern for people in the ICT field.
When you said that, I'm automatically thinking of wars. So now we have to be concerned about technological wars. How does a country safeguard itself from that negative aspect of AI?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there isn't, right? There isn't at this stage any real safeguards. I mean, think of AI similar to the coronavirus, right? I mean, I'm not looking at it negatively here, but I'm saying it's a new phenomenon, right? That we're still learning how to deal with and how to mitigate the actual negative impact of it. I mean, the thing about it, unfortunately, security measures are usually behind the curve, especially when it comes to technology. So when a new virus comes out, that's when you have to deal with it. You can't deal with it before it comes out. So we now have AI and all the everything that brings. We now have to learn to deal with some of the potential risks that AI poses, but we can't deal with it before we see them happen. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Yeah.
predictability
Sorry,
is
Christal. Crystal, when you say behind the curve, you're saying that the security measures lag behind these things because they're taking place. But I just say, why can't we anticipate
Well,
You mentioned a certain set of things already. Why can't we anticipate and start to put something? Is it difficult to put those things in place and agreements and so forth? What is it?
yeah. So I mean, the putting measures to avoid and prevent is limited to what you can predict. So if you cannot predict it, you cannot prevent against it. So when before they had social media and cell phones with video capability, etc., there wasn't a need for Privacy Act in ICT, right? So that came after the fact, because you have to be exposed to the issue first before you can mitigate it, right? So that's the thing with AI. What we do know so far, there have been strides to address and to see how best we minimize the effects of them. But what about the ones that we don't know, right? And because AI is so new, there's a lot that we don't know about it. So that is where the challenge. That's where the challenge is. So security always follows the issues. Being able to secure yourself against it, you have to first see what the loophole is. And sometimes we're not able to pick that up before it happens, and that's the challenge.
That just seems a little troublesome. When I say troublesome, I mean that the people who are trying to do good and prevent the ills from happening are the worst end, per se, because we have to wait until the bad happens so that we could put things in place to mitigate. But sometimes the bad that happens, it's difficult to curb that because it just spreads like wildfire. And I'm making reference to like social media. Things would have gone wrong, persons would have gravitated to, and it was by the time we were able to implement certain laws and guidelines, it's too late because it's already out in the open. And these companies, of course, they're driven by profitability. There was not very little, but there are certain things that could not be done to try to curb and mitigate and control the negative effects of these technological advances.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what it is, right? I remember when email came out, the spam blocking was something that came in years after email was out, and spam blocking was as a result of phishing attacks. So before there were phishing attacks, there was no spam blocker, right? So that's just how technology works sometimes. Unfortunately, we don't always know what somebody's cooking up in a basement somewhere. You know what I mean? So that's just how it is, and that's what keeps us on our toes. So it's not necessarily all a bad thing, but okay. AI does have a lot of very, very beneficial applications. I just don't want to speak about all negative. It does have a lot of beneficial applications that the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. What we can do, we can touch on those beneficial applications when we come back from the break. We have to take a quick break. Right now, it's 8:29, and when we come back, we'll dive into the beneficial aspects of artificial intelligence. All right, let's take a break.
The Yolo Band Movement and the Carnival Bands Inc. presents the ultimate all-white fete, Ivory Soiree.
When you're ready, man, the iron and the man with the Congo drum in the engine. There's a vibe in the section when we jam into this.
Ivory Soiree on May the 28th at the Victoria Park Lawn with 8 top steel orchestras, mass presentation, venue transformation, trendy soca, reggae and calypso music, plus top DJs, trending artists, table and bar services, smoke zone, tokens and giveaways. It's mass meets steel band with plenty vibes. Admission $20. Show starts at 5 p.m. The ultimate all-white launch party, Ivory Soiree. Sunday, May 28th. Be there at Victoria Park Lawn, ready to unleash the energy in the engine room. Sponsored by National Properties and the CDC.
Hey Google, play me some big people soca.
Okay, playing some touch music.
Soca massive, are you ready to jump?
Touch is back on the road.
for another Monday t-shirt band with the band Kinetic. 2 live bands with some of Vinci's best soca music.
Everything you do, somebody's watching you. Well, it has some command in this land.
Packages go on sale soon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Band Touch. And stay tuned for more updates. And one more thing for the record.
Man can't take but. Man can't take but.
Brought to you by Standard Shippers, Carib, White Oak, Tusty Water, and WEFM.
Not all heroes wear capes. Celebrate her this Mother's Day at Quartz. Save up to 40% off selected furniture, appliances, and electronics. Get free accessories with selected purchases and much more. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and pay $0 for 30 days. And before you check out, don't forget to add extended warranty with our Quartz Super Shield product, which will protect your purchase for up to 4 years. Celebrate moms with us only at Quartz, bringing value home. Offer ends May 31st, 2023.
All right, welcome back. It's now Court's time. We say good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Court's Ready Cash. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing fine for the time despite the weather. All right, so let's go. What's up with Court's Ready Cash this morning, this week, this month? It's everything.
So this month we are offering you a $3,000 cash loan. It's our carnival promotion that if you take a loan of $3,000 or more, you get up to 60 days to pay. So, it's not too late to get your costume. You come in and you check us out for this cash loan. All you'll need is your 2 pieces of ID, a recent job letter or salary slip, proof of address in the form of a recent utility bill or bank statement. And we are open Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Mm-hmm. We are also partnered with Adrenaline for this carnival, so you can go and register with Adrenaline and gain access to a discounted rate with island-wide fitness. So you want to get toned up, you want to get your body ready for the road, check out Adrenaline Carnival first and then island-wide fitness.
Okay.
Also, if you take a loan of up to $10,000, then you get entered into a draw. So gain a chance to win your cash loan completely. So we'll clear it off for you if you are the lucky recipient of that draw. And we also have our agricultural fund. It's a US $20 million fund that's being spread across the OECS, and you can take up to $27,000 for this loan. It's in the form of a small business loan geared towards our farmers and fisher folk. You will need your proof of identification. So it's your 2 pieces of ID. You must be between the ages of 21 and 55 years old. Your business must have been in operation for at least 1 year. You would then also need proof of your purchases for the last 3 months or any sales that you would have done. Your proof of address in the form of a utility bill or bank statement.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
And I've said a lot.
Yeah, it's all right. We're taking notes, or mental notes, physical notes. All right. So you mentioned the location. I don't think that you did. You gave us contacts and everything, but where could we physically go?
You can either check us out opposite the post office in Kingston, or if you're in the location on Bay Street, you can also go to the main branch and access the loan there as well.
All right. Lovely. Now, you're speaking more specifically about carnival, but outside of that and the agricultural aspect, what else can we come for money for?
Well, we also offer payday loans. So it has a one-time service charge. You can take between $300 and up to $1,000, and it just has a one-time service charge, and there's no interest.
Oh, okay.
So it's a payday loan. You pay that back within 3 months, and you get access to that. So maybe you just need a little extra cash. You need something to tide you over until end of the month. You come and you access a payday loan with us.
Yeah, something happens. I'm like, oh, I gotta pay this before I get paid. Let me go to Coach Ready
Exactly.
Cash. Hey, so in terms of accessibility, now we can come to you, we can call you. I know that there's a website, so tell us about that.
Okay, so our website is readyfinancecaribbean.com, and so you can go on there and access all of the information that I've just given you as well. You can also go onto our website, shopquotes.com, in order to, if you need to make any payments for your bills or anything, you can also access this information there.
All right, awesome. So anything else that you want to share with us concerning Courts Ready Cash? I know you said what we could use it
Just to tell you
for.
that the process is absolutely hassle-free, so you don't need to have any collateral or anything like that. And we also promise 24-hour turnaround. In some cases, you can also gain access to same-day approval. So, and there's no limit on what you can use the money for. That we have small business loans, as I would have mentioned. Even outside of farmers, the agricultural fund is just for farmers and fishers, but we also have regular small business loans as well. And you can just access a regular consumer loan. Maybe you need to just purchase a little something extra. You want to have some extra cash in your pocket. You come in and check us out. We're ready when you are.
Of course, and we're ready this morning and this afternoon and tomorrow. 24/7 actually.
Yes.
Because you have a website. So yeah.
Yes,
All right. Awesome. Of course, as usual, it's a pleasure chatting with you every Monday morning.
All right.
All right,
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Not a problem. Take
Okay,
care.
bye-bye.
All right. Hey, and that was Courts Ready Cash. Ready when you are. You ready today? You can go check them out. You ready tomorrow? You can also go check them out. Straight up to Saturday. Now, the branch on Halifax Street. When I say Saturday, Halifax Street is Monday to Friday. The Courts main branch is Monday to Saturday. All right. Now, thank you so much for Courts Ready Cash for joining us this morning. That brings us to the end of the sponsored segment. When we come back, we rejoin and resume conversation about artificial intelligence.
Not all heroes wear capes. Celebrate hard this Mother's Day at Quartz. Save up to 40% off selected furniture, appliances, and electronics. Get free accessories with selected purchases and much more. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and pay $0 for 30 days. And before you check out, don't forget to add extended warranty with our Quartz Super Shield product, which will protect your purchase for up to 4 years. Celebrate moms with us only at Quartz, bringing value home. Offer ends May 31st, 2023.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack, Interbrand Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
That's the sound of your animals. Strong, healthy, and delivering yields you love. That didn't just happen. It began with you feeding them only the best. East Caribbean Feeds. Rest assured, we only produce your feeds with premium ingredients. No hormones, no animal byproducts. Just everything your animal needs for maximum nutrition. Because your animals deserve only the best. East Caribbean Feeds from Maximum Nutrition.
Boy, that's where you getting crushed now. Your brakes real good, boy.
Now brakes alone good enough. My tires good too.
Tires? Where you get them tires, boy?
Out by Caribbean Tire Plus, man. They out in Addersville. Can't miss it. Look for the orange container on them. Plenty parking space and open 7 days a week all thing, man. Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call them today. Caribbean Tire Plus, 784-432-4786 or email ctiresplus@gmail.com.
99.9, the heart and soul of
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
You ever had a moment where you're about to do something and you have to stop before you actually do it because you forgot what you're about to do? Doc, hello? 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 Yoo-hoo. Hey.
Me?
Yes.
No. I was listening to you. I was waiting for Carla to come back on.
I embarrassingly talking to myself. I said, if you ever had a moment where you're about to do something and you completely forgot what you were
I
going to
thought
do.
you were asking callers to respond or something, or things like that.
I'm looking at you.
I didn't know you were asking. Don't ask a physician that. You know. Don't ask a doctor that. We could start getting into some all kind of hypotheses, some details that you wouldn't want us to go with. You know what I mean?
Is it yes or no? Is it yes or no?
Brain fog. Yeah, brain fog you're talking about?
I don't know. But then I was when you answered yes or no, I was going to say, well, this is an area that AI could help with because there's no brain fog or anything. Yeah? All right. So for those who are just joining us, welcome to Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9. I'm your host, Christal. Dr. Thompson is joining us this morning. And of course, Mr. Colin Brown taking you up till 9 o'clock with this part of the discussion. What we're talking about is artificial intelligence, basically dealing with the pros and cons. There's a question on the WhatsApp. And if you want to reach out to us, the WhatsApp number is 457-9994. The number to call is 457-9997. So do you want the question first, or do you want to go into the good things or the positive things and how this can be used to a country's or our benefit per se?
Well, let's go with the question, and then we can.
All right. I think the first one was answered, but I'm going to read it. What is one of the big dangers of AI? Also, how expensive is AI? I know it will depend on how one wants to use a particular system.
Yes. So there are different. Let's go to the second question first. There are different models, so it really depends on how the commercial structure of AI-driven software is, or programs is, it is process-based. So depending on how large the process is, more expensive the AI solution would be. So I know there is a company right now, and I wouldn't mention the name because I don't know what legal implications that may have, but there's a company right now that offers AI within the region, and to automate a process, you can be looking at upwards of $5,000 for process one. Price goes down the more processes you add, but first process is about 5,000, and that is per month. So
hold on.
Per month, yeah. So right now, again, because the technology is new, it's fairly pricey. The more it becomes widespread, it'll drive the price down. But right now, it's fairly pricey.
Oh, yeah. So that might mean that some businesses, or I'm not too sure if to say countries here, but some businesses may not find it financially practical.
Yeah. I mean, unless you could justify the spend, obviously, I think at this stage, for a lot of businesses within St. Vincent that are usually small businesses, it's a little cost prohibitive at this point. But for bigger countries that have huge processes, I could see the advantage of having something like this.
Christal, if I could say, there is actually, in terms of the large corporation in the world, a rush to look at AI, whether they're getting into it, but because their bottom line in terms of being competitive, being able to keep costs down, being able to do things quicker, more efficiently, and to be on top of things, they basically may need to jump into AI, or their technical people. If their technical advisor is saying, run from AI, don't get involved, he may find that he may be gone in a very short space of time, because from a competition point of view, that company may not be able to keep up with their competitors. Now, at the same time, if somebody's a monopoly, if something is a monopoly, they may think that way, because they may not want the potential, the risk that will come with it. But for most companies, well, now I'm reading that they're jumping into this, and there are some public things. I mean, I want to raise. I'm going to mention a software, Chat GPT. You understand? Chat GPT. You've been hearing. I'm sure you've been hearing about this, Christal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, for the listeners, I want to hear about Chat GPT. I don't know why they call it, some funny thing like that. But look out to hear a lot more about it. I wanted to download it, but I said, let me hold back. I wanted it's been released in the United States and so forth. So I'm going to, but the things that it's able to do, it's quite fascinating. Carl, let me hear from you and so forth, and maybe we can.
Yeah, definitely. Chat GPT is taking the globe by storm. I mean, it's huge. The numbers has been growing on a daily basis by the millions of users, right? So it is really the next. As a matter of fact, Chat GPT is now being incorporated into Google, right? So it's into your Google search, your Gmail. It uses that AI component to. So interesting. I was looking at a Google podcast recently, and they were saying now that AI now can respond to your emails for you. So if you, let's say, for example, the example I gave, well, let's say you had a flight cancellation. So the airline sends you an email and to tell you that your flight was canceled. You can click on you need to enable something on Gmail and click respond to mail, and the AI bot will respond to email for you. So it will extract the pertinent information, so your flight number, your routing number, and formulate an email for you. You vet it and click send. So you don't even have to type the email anymore. Which is crazy. So it's when you think about it, it can be frightening because again it's new. But again, the advantages are so vast, and it kind of segues right into what we were talking about, the upsides of AI. There's a lot of upside in the medical field.
Christal, if I could come in, sir.
Hold on, Doc. There's a call. He's been trying for a while, actually. Hello, good morning.
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 Dr. Thompson, wanted to hear your friend. I would like to ask you all this.
There's a bit of feedback.
Radio.
Yeah, so maybe.
Yeah, my radio is off.
Okay, so move away from the phone a little bit, or speak a little softer. Because there's like static.
Quite normal.
Okay, there's some static. That's all. Go ahead.
No, that static we're hearing, that's probably the phone cable.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Cable needs to be changed. Dr. Thompson, the thing about AI that I would like to ask is this. Is there anything medically that you can do with AI like that? People with Alzheimer's or, those kinds of conditions? Is there anything that you can do with AI to help people medically?
Colin, that's an interest. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak specifically to any conditions, any medical conditions, but I know that AI is being used right now in a lot of healthcare applications and treatments. AI is being used now by medical practitioners to be able to predict health risks quicker, right? Because again, AI is able to simulate and pull together all the different test results and give you a point you in the right direction, if so to speak. So it's being used a lot in the health field, right?
If I could say, the caller, if I could say that a lot of studies now are being done in multiple centers. They call it multi-centric studies. So a study might be done in Canada, one in London, one in South Africa, one in Argentina. And the data has to be pooled together. They are going to be using AI to analyze the data and to come up to see if that medication is actually beneficial or not based on the data, and to do it much quicker. Yeah, sorry?
Go ahead.
No, I was just asking. I was also asking if in addition to diagnosing, I would like to know if they also can predict cures or medications. I mean, that's a very, I don't know if it's a good or bad question, or if it's technical or what, but I'm just curious. That's a question asked out of curiosity. Apart from diagnosing or suggesting, I want to know if it can also make, if it can also tell you about cures for certain ailments. I will go off the air and listen to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much for your call.
Yeah. So just to piggyback on Dr. Thompson's point about pulling data together, and not to segue too much, but there is conversations now and around the commercial release of quantum computers, right? And now quantum computers are computers that are able to process vast amounts of information extremely quickly, right? And they're now talking about combining AI with that sort of technology, and we're on the verge of a huge leap in technology where this is concerned. And I mean, again, the advantages from all perspectives, health, what have you, education, what have you, can be hugely impacted by this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, sorry about that. I would have loved to have gone into detail with that last question, but I'm not sure we are there yet that AI itself, we could say it's going to develop cures for a disease or so. But let me say about going back to Chat GPT. I remember long ago, before the internet came in and before Google, I used to have to read some books to write an essay or write on a subject. Really read hard and use some brain power. And then I remember submitting something one day, and the teacher said, "What happened? Sometime later on, did you get this from Google or Wikipedia? Did you just copy Wikipedia?" You know what I mean? And I said, "No, I didn't." But there was suspicion that I just looked up Wikipedia, copied it, and I cut and paste and copied it back. With artificial intelligence now, I may well be able to ask the computer to write my essay for me. Yes, Sam? Do my homework for me. And print the paper for me. Print my thesis for me on this subject. These are the parameters. And I will submit it. Christal, I see before that's where things are, and I think that of course teachers are gonna have a tough time trying to differentiate. Is this student a genius and so smart, or have they gotten access to these software and ask the software to write their essay for them?
Yeah, that's already happening. It's already a big concern in bigger countries. Even in St. Vincent, it's being used right now. I know of students using ChatGPT to do their research for them, right? But the same way there is also an AI program that identifies when you have something that is written by ChatGPT. So again, the problem and the solution, it comes back to back. So that when ChatGPT came out, there was a need for this other software, and someone developed it. So that's what I mean by sometimes we're behind the curve, but not always far behind the curve.
Okay. Now we only have like 4 or 5 minutes left because you have to go at 9 o'clock, and we wanted to touch on the pros, the good things about artificial intelligence. So let's deal with that really quickly.
Okay, so outside of we touched on the applications for AI in the medical field. There is also a lot of it is behind the scenes because obviously it's very program driven. But from a commercial perspective, right, for businesses, Dr. Thompson touched on it about these big companies. Coca-Cola was one of the first companies to onboard AI to automate some of their processes. But again, you can AI works 24/7. So a lot of the mundane tasks that sometimes bore humans and they can, because it's so monotonous, you can lose interest and therefore commit errors. AI can do that for you, right? So then you now have your human resources able to focus on other revenue driving activities. So it replaces the all those mundane tasks that humans are sometimes not very inclined to do. So that's the full-time availability of AI. That's one of the advantages. We're talking about using AI robots to do risky tasks such as coal mining and that sort of thing, where you don't have to put your human resource at risk. So if you're talking about, let's say, any kind of mining, actually, you now have AI robots that goes into these things. They can learn, they can assess, they can feed back the information. So you don't have your the human resources at risk. That's another advantage. Now, again, we're talking about improving processes and workflows. We touched on that, but again, that's a huge part of it.
Carl, let me just interrupt you there. Mm-hmm. Is it possible that these robots could learn? Is this whole process about self-learning of these machines could learn that they could become a threat to humans?
Right. So yes. So that is the concern, right? As I said, anything that can learn will have to learn from something. Right. So if the programming is geared towards extracting the negative, it can extract the negative. If the programming is geared towards extracting the positive, that's one of the disadvantages or concerns of AI is what it learns and how are you able to determine. So we learn, but we also have a moral standpoint, right? That is not necessarily built into AI. It's a program. It doesn't deal with morality. You can't program morality, right? Mm-hmm. So that is where people have the huge, or the experts have the huge concern. How do you tell a robot what is good to learn, what is bad to learn? It doesn't have that moral. So you say, okay, if this happens, then you do this. So let's talk about, so now they have robot dogs deployed on the streets of New York, right? They are AI driven. You say, okay, if you see somebody running at a certain speed and they have something in their hand, attack. How do you tell it how to assess that threat? So there's a lot of concerns around those things. So the short answer to that is yes. And yes, because we don't know enough about AI to say, we haven't seen those scenarios, but those scenarios exist. And we don't know enough about it. When does AI, when do we set the limit on learning? What can't you learn? You can't set those parameters. You either learn or you don't learn, right? And that is the major concern, long-term effects that the experts are really saying we shouldn't be too quick to deploy these things without understanding fully. But the commercial advantages are so great right? And as you say, I mean, in a capitalist world, you know, the bottom line is the driver for a lot of things. So fellas are ready to deploy this, and well, it has been deployed because of the commercial advantages. But the experts are saying we don't know enough about the long-term effects, so we shouldn't be too quick to do that. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but it's not stopping. So we just need to. AI is not going to stop right now. It's too successful. It's too advantageous to stop. We just need to accelerate how quickly we understand what it can do.
Right. So we are out of time, so we have to wrap things up. I really wanted to ask you, how is the government positioning itself to take advantage of AI if they've already started? I know that we have a digital transformation ongoing. I want to ask you about that too. I don't know if you want to spare a minute, a few seconds.
Sure. So do we need to break now?
No, go ahead quickly, because.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a ticklish question, right? Again, we are putting the security measures in place to deal with what we know now. Okay. Now, it's difficult because it to mitigate against AI requires a lot of research and a lot of resources, financial resources, and you know we're not at this stage within the digital transformation to say, well, we while we're assessing all the ramifications, we have not seen an AI attack. I don't think there has been a documented AI attack in the world yet. So we don't know what we could potentially face. So we're putting all the security measures in place right now to mitigate against what we know. However, because it's so early in the game, it's really difficult for us to say, because an AI attack would be specific, and it's difficult to say, well, we can't mitigate against this because this hasn't happened yet. So it has to be a broad approach, but we are taking measures to both use AI and protect ourselves against potential risks of AI.
Christal, you were just saying, so Colin, you have to go. You have to slip away for another meeting or so, right? Is that it?
Yes.
And that's it for him today.
I see. Well, no, Colin, before you go, I know we've we need to get the bankers and so forth, but I want to ask you, though, because coming out, people listening this morning might say, gosh, I benefits, but how do you feel comfortable that what you are put in place as of now is sufficient safeguards towards the digital transformation? Because we need Vincentians to become more with it, more up to date, more understand of ICT, and to be able to use that. I mean, we need them to be using the online banking. You need them to maybe register, not being online for a whole set of things, big long lines as we had with COVID and so, but to be able to do things from home. We need in education and all that. So what would you say to Vincentian in relation to the whole thing of digital transformation? Would you say, whoa, hold up, as you the leader in this respect?
No.
Or you how do you convince Vincentians? No. Listen, man, let's go for it. We got your back. We got your back from security, and we'll always continue to have your back. But what would you say?
Well, one of the components of the digital transformation project is cybersecurity. It's a huge component, and we have experts from, internationally renowned experts working with us to ensure that we have all those security measures, cybersecurity measures in place, including policy development, including hardware. So all of that is being factored in as a overlay to all the services that we're looking to roll out to the public, right? So rest assured, we are dotting the I's and crossing the T's where that's concerned, because we know the once we getting into this so we essentially enhancing the government's digital footprint and the St. Vincent and the Grenadines digital footprint. And we know with that, we would now be recognized, our presence would be recognized on the international level. And we're putting all the cybersecurity measures in place to ensure that we are ready to mitigate against any attack. Now, I'm not saying it's not perfect, nothing is, but we definitely putting in the legwork to ensure that we are secure.
All right, so awesome. And with that, we have to wrap things up. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. Really helpful information this morning.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care.
Good. Thanks,
right.
God. Thank you.
And that was the first leg of this morning's commentary. What we're going to do at this time, we're going to end the live. Doc, I'll send you a new link. All right, and we're going to go